The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the post-game report card and player grades. Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace. Man, it's a lot more fun to do these after a win. And, at about halftime of Arkansas's 70-58 victory over LSU, I wasn't sure where this was headed. Arkansas flipped the switch in the second half. I thought they played really good down the stretch, pulled away, took care of business, and picked up a really important win. It was a must win, as we talked about beforehand. And Arkansas got a double-digit victory on a night where other teams around them in the bubble conversation really had some struggles. Wake Forest was ahead of Arkansas in the pecking order in a lot of projections. They took a Q3 loss at home to Florida State. That's a tough one, and so that probably bumps Arkansas ahead of them. I think they're probably ahead of Georgia now. Oklahoma got thumped at Missouri. So Arkansas is starting to climb their way up a little bit into better position, up into 11th place in the SEC. Oh, boy, stop the presses, right? But listen, when you start at 0-5, 1-6, whatever, a terrible start to SEC play by program standards, to be where you're at now and be in the NCAA conversation for the tournament is a good thing. So let's get into our report card. We'll start with the offense and defense. We'll get into the player grades, try to roll through it pretty quick here. This was not an overwhelming performance. It wasn't a dominant performance by Arkansas. I just thought they looked pretty lackadaisical. Maybe, I don't know if unfocused is the right word. For people who were there, there wasn't a lot of juice in that building in the first half, and Arkansas just looked a little bit out of it, a little disjointed, some stuff that we haven't seen really since, about the time they played LSU the first time. And some of that might have been the game plan, whatever, I don't know, but it was ugly basketball in the first half. Second half, a lot better. Offensively, I think I'd probably go about a B- for Arkansas in this one. They weren't great. They certainly weren't bad. I mean, you shoot 52% from the field. They found their spots to get things going. It's kind of strange in a game where you only go 4 of 12 from three. So you only have 12 3-point attempts, and then you go 10 of 17 from the free throw line. So not a ton of volume. And then you shoot sub 60%. And then you miss 11 layups, but somehow you were really, really effective around the rim. Like, that's where your best offense was, because you shot 52% from the field. I got to figure out exactly how that math works. I'm not entirely sure, but hey, it was enough to get the job done. Arkansas scored 34 points in the first half, 36 in the second half, 70 in the game. They took care of the basketball, which is another, game where Arkansas has single-digit turnovers. They continue to take care of the ball. That's good. 17 assists to 8 turnovers. You'll take it in a game like this. Wouldn't blow you away. They're going to need to be better, I think, on that end of the floor, especially for a full 40 minutes than, if they're going to go beat Texas A&M. But it was enough to get the job done tonight. I'll stick with the B-. Defensively for Arkansas in this game, I'll go, I think with a solid B, because if you look at the box score, like the statistics here, I don't know. I mean, you held them under 60 points. So to 58, they scored 78 on you the last time you guys played in Baton Rouge. So, that's a good thing. You hold them under 40%. So 39.1% for LSU in the game. Pretty well done. You'll take that anytime. 25% from three. They were 5 of 20 from three. And then just 3 of 6 from the free throw line. LSU shot, they were 26 of 28 from the free throw line in Baton Rouge, and they only got there 6 times in this game. So a lot of really, really good stuff there. So you could look at it and be like, man, should maybe be up in that A range a little bit? You only turn them over 9 times, and this is an LSU team that does turn it over quite a bit. So I think that could have been an opportunity for Arkansas to stretch this thing from a dozen, maybe out to 20, like get a little bit more in the style points department. Weren't able to do that. Whatever, not that huge of a deal. The other thing is, like, schematically, especially in the first half, like, they really struggled with the middle pick and roll, had a hard time with their switching. They were struggling when LSU was slipping. They were able to get kind of whatever mismatch they wanted in the ball screen action there. The short rolls were really effective. They had some problems defending the post with Robert Miller for pretty lengthy stretches there. Didn't kill you in this game. You did everything else at a pretty darn elite level, I would say. but just things to keep an eye on as you move forward that you want Arkansas to be a little bit better in. We saw more flashes of the January version of Arkansas than the February one that's been really, really good, at least in that first half. So like put the full 40 minutes together, whatever. But yeah, I think about a B- on the offensive end of the floor. Just a solid, sturdy B defensively, I think is where I'm at from Arkansas. Let's get into the player grades here. I mean, I wish I could go a different way because I don't like to be a repeater, but Big Z likes to be a repeater. He gets the MVP again. I mean, how do you quantify what this guy's doing right now? I mean, it's pretty incredible. Has the career game against Alabama. He goes for 27, fouls it up against LSU. He might have been even better in some ways, offensively, especially 25 points in this game. He goes 10 of 13 from the field, knocks down 3 threes, was really, really good and strong and tough and aggressive around the basket as well. He showed some touch. He was dunking on guys' heads. I mean, he was incredible on the offensive end of the floor. Defensively, he was kind of it. At times it felt like he was getting picked on a little bit in middle pick and roll. It's not his strong suit, but he was also just kind of following the game plan. And I don't know how conducive it was. Like sometimes he's getting switched off onto those guards. Other times they're sitting that high pick and roll out near mid court. That's a lot of ground for him to get out there, cover that effectively, and try to sprint back and get in the lane. And so Arkansas was kind of in scramble mode at different times. It looked like it was on him. Again, he's just following the game plan. Like you got to have reasonable expectations for what the guy's going to do in there. But he still wound up with 4 block shots in this game. I think he probably altered several more. Need more from him on the glass, only 3 rebounds. And then he did have, a handful of those one-on-one battles there against the freshman Robert Miller that he lost. And one-on-one post defense is tough. It is. But when you're Zvonimir Ivisic and he's a freshman who has not been doing this all year, I feel like you should win more of those than maybe he did. But still, his offensive game was just unbelievable. Arkansas's front court is carrying them right now, which is not exactly what I expected us to be saying a few weeks ago. But hey, you live in the world that you're in. It's good to see he's playing his way into not a lottery pick, but probably a surefire draft pick at this point, which is bittersweet, right? Because this is the kind of stuff that can lead you to an NCAA tournament. It's also the kind of stuff that'll make you lose a guy that you wish you could keep a little bit longer. He's quickly becoming a massive fan favorite. He was just really, really good again in this game. And so kudos to him. We'll work our way down the rest of the box score now. John L. Davis, I'm probably going to go with maybe a C minus for John L. Davis. My expectations are just way higher for him now, personally, because he's been so good. Kentucky, you think about that game, you think about the Texas game. It really felt like he turned a corner, and he's kind of gotten back in these last 2 games at Bud Walton Arena, where for whatever reason, he just can't seem to figure out efficiency and knock down shots in Bud. I don't know what it is. I hope he never takes another shot in the practice facility. Like I hope every single one of them's in Bud. Got to find a way to get our man going in there because he's been so good on the road. He gets good shots. He takes quality shots for the most part. They just don't fall for him in this building for whatever reason. 11 points, was 4 of 13 from the field for the second game. Like you need more efficiency for him. Arkansas is so much better offensively when he's cooking a little bit. Was missing some layups, some bunnies in there that you'd like to see him make. He did knock down a couple mid-range jumpers, which was good because that's a part of his game that shined at Florida Atlantic. We just haven't seen it that much at Arkansas. And so he showed flashes of that in this one. I thought especially in the second half, he was really impactful defensively, super active. He wound up getting 3 steals in the game. So there were a lot of good things that he did. It just, for me, I think I'll go C, just a straight C for him. Man, you feel like he needs to be a little bit more efficient, right? Turn that 4 of 13 into 7 of 13, especially against an LSU defense. It's not that good. And it's just a completely different game. I like that he's consistently scoring in double figures now for Arkansas, even on nights where the shots aren't necessarily falling. I like that he's not just a, stand and shoot 3-point specialist at this point. But I do think, again, my expectations are lofty. He should be scoring 15 plus for Arkansas. And I know how efficient he can be. Hopefully see that moving forward. Adou Thiero now. Chin Coleman, who did the press conference to John Calipari, was asked if he was healthy after the game, and he said, we don't think there's any reason why he's not healthy. Like, ask the medical staff. Well, bud, they don't send the medical staff to the press conference, right? Like, we can't ask the medical staff. That's why we ask you. They're not forthcoming with the information there. They don't have to be. You wish you could get a little bit more there. The reason the question was asked because it didn't look like he was healthy, did it? You know what I mean? Not a great game for a dude Theo, especially by his standards. Finishes with 6 points. He was 2 of 8 from the field, just 2 of 4 from the free throw line. He did have 7 rebounds, so he was pretty active there on the glass. Limited the turnovers, had 3 assists, but he only played 27 minutes. Long stretches in the first half where he wasn't in foul trouble and he was out of the game. It just leads you to wonder if he was still under the weather or not, especially when the reason that Chin Coleman did the press conference was because they said Cal is under the weather. Can we get this team healthy, please? I mean, my goodness, get them some vitamins, some orange juice, whatever. Sleep, rest. Don't do anything. Don't be around other humans until you go to Texas A&M. Like the illness that's been running through this program is crazy. I know it's that time of year, but my goodness, man, you want these guys, if they only got 8 of them, you'd like to have all 8 of them healthy at some point. But they need more from Theo. He struggled a little bit against LSU in Baton Rouge. He had 4 of his shots blocked. And at first I was thinking it was that because he started 0 of 5. It seemed like he was having a hard time exploding like he normally does. That they were really trying to go to him and post him up. They weren't really getting much out of that for whatever reason. I tend to think that something wasn't quite right there. Maybe he was a little bit under the weather. I don't know. He did have a couple good plays, big plays, important plays in the second half when Arkansas was able to pull away a little bit, but they need more than that from their man Theo there. Carter Knox, I thought he was really good. A- maybe for Carter. Great bounce back. You know, he was held scoreless against Alabama. And it's one of the things I said in the preview is like, I don't know, man, if you're an SEC starting wing, probably not ideal if you don't score and you play 30 plus minutes. Well, hey, he had 9 points in this game and he was 4 or 5 from the field. He knocked down one of Arkansas's 4 threes. But I just love the energy and intensity that he played with, because not everybody for the Razorbacks had that on this night. But he did. And it kind of reminds me of, was it the Georgia game or Oklahoma? I think it was the Georgia game where, like, you know, like the shots weren't really falling for him or whatever on that night, but then he just went nuts. He's like, listen, I'm putting my head down, and buddy, I'm getting to the rim. And if I don't have the ball and a shot goes up, I'm getting to the offensive glass. And that's how I'm going to make my mark. That's exactly what he did in this game. Finished with 8 rebounds. So he almost had a double-double, 9 and 8, which is really good to see. But his aggressiveness, I like it when he had the coast to coast and just a strong finish through contact early in the game. Yes, sir. Like that's the next step of the evolution for Carter, right? I love that. And just forcing the drive, not settling for jump shots, and then just attacking the glass. And he was getting, put back, second chance opportunities, the dirty work, the little things like that matter. And he's really starting to bring that to the table. He was caught sleeping a little bit on defense early in the game, and then really ratchet up his intensity in the second half. I thought he was really good. Arkansas wouldn't have won this game without his contributions there. So shout out to Carter. DJ Wagner, another interesting game for him where I watched the entire game. And at the end, when we started the post-game show, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, didn't really feel like that was DJ's best. But then you look at the box score afterwards, and I know that there's more to basketball than the stats, but 10 points, so he scored double figures. He was 50% from the field, 4 of 8, knocked down both of his free throws, 3 rebounds, whatever. 7 assists in this game. Like he must just assist on every Big Z make. It's crazy. He did have 3 turnovers, and I think a couple of the turnovers stood out to me because they were maybe not careless, but just unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? And I know he got pulled after one of them early in the second half. And so maybe that stood out a little bit. First half, I thought he struggled keeping his man in front at times, and that led to some of the breakdowns that Arkansas was having defensively, because they were spread out so far and they kept getting caught in scramble mode. And that was leading to some of the success that LSU was having. But at the end of the night, you look up and he wound up having a pretty solid game statistically. 3 turnovers, you like to see that cut down. But it's like we said with Boogie, if you're going to have 3 turnovers, at least have double the assist or get a bunch of steals or whatever to make up for it. If you've got 7 assists, that's pretty good work. I thought he had a nice spurt right out of halftime where he came up with he came up with a steal or at least kind of catalyzed the play defensively, got it to Carter Knox for a dunk. And then he got downhill for a layup, and like Arkansas kind of regained the lead and a little bit of momentum. And you were thinking, all right, eventually they're going to figure this thing out. And they did, but there were also stretches where he was not on the floor and Arkansas really made their push, or he was on the floor and they moved his butt off the ball and had Billy at point guard, which I thought was interesting. But B minus, like, I think he was fine, not great, but certainly maybe didn't play as poorly as I thought initially, just like off the rapid reaction on the eye test there. Trev Brazil, a couple games now where he hasn't really brought too much to the table there for Arkansas. He did have 4 rebounds, 3 points. He split a pair of free throws. He had a really nice play in transition where it was almost like a receiver going for a deep ball and you're trying to figure out which shoulder it's coming over. Made a nice catch, stopped himself, good footwork, nice kiss off the glass. But a little bit soft in the hands, I felt like in this game with some of the rebounds he grabbed, getting poked out of there. Passes coming to him that he probably should have caught. Looked a little bit sluggish at times on the defensive end. He's just been so good as kind of that energy motor guy, playing aggressively, diving on the floor for loose balls, the hustle effort plays. And those seem like they've been lacking a little bit the last couple games. I don't know why, but you want him to kind of get back to where he was maybe 10 days, a couple weeks ago, and you'll be all right there. But they do need more out of him for sure, especially when, Theo didn't play well. And so who's his replacement in there? Is Trevin. So then on a night like tonight, you didn't really get much at all from the 4 spot. You can't have that. Like this team can't afford to have one position that doesn't really give them much. So they won the game. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to fail anybody or whatever, but like C minus, he's better than what he showed tonight. Jonas Adu. I'm going to give him an A minus. And look, he's not the all SEC player that Arkansas thought they were getting. Right. But after what his role has been the last few games here, since the last time they played LSU, he's given them nothing. He's had a bunch of no-shows. His minutes have gone from, 35 a game to barely playing at all. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, a couple rotate just long enough for Big Z to get a drink of Gatorade and come back in. They have to get more out of him if they're going to get to where they need to be. Tonight, the dozen minutes that he gave Arkansas, I would take that every game the rest of the season because I thought he was dialed in. Great energy. He was moving well out there, was good on the backboards. He had 5 rebounds while he was in there, had a couple assists while he was in there, blocked a shot. He's so instinctual on the defensive end of the floor, and he moves well defensively in there. Arkansas was really struggling with that middle pick and roll. They're really struggling with the Robert Miller kid. When they put Jonas in the game, in the first half, I thought he gave him a good little spurt there. But in the second half, he was a prime catalyst for why Arkansas went on that run to get the separation to wind up winning this game comfortably because of what he was doing on the defensive end of the floor. And he was fine in there offensively. Made 1 bucket, missed another one, whatever. But kind of like we've been saying, I don't care if he scores another point the rest of the season. If he can give you defensive rebounding and a defensive presence around the rim and give you just double-digit minutes where he's not a liability out there, I'll freaking take it. And not only was he not a liability, he was an asset for Arkansas in this game. Really did some good stuff there. I like what Chin Coleman had to say about him afterwards, about how his attitude has just been great. And they've really been just kind of leaning on him from the standpoint of, hey, man, like if you keep approaching things this way, good things are going to happen for you. And he kind of saw that play out. So I hope he's able to build on that against a Texas A&M team that's, big and physical and heavy on the offensive glass. They're going to need him to come in there and do some things again. But I thought it was a great step in the right direction in this one for Jonas. Billy Richmond, listen, I'm going to give him an A as well in this game. Now, he only scored 4 points. I don't care. I love his energy. I just love it. It's infectious. And fans love the man. Him and Jonas off the bench were the guys who really sparked Arkansas in the second half when they, like I was just talking about, when they got that separation. They went on that run to kind of put LSU away, finally get the crowd in it and get them going. He looks good at point guard. He does. 4 assists in the game and not a single turnover. And he's the one guy all season that I've seen take a hard dribble off of a pick and roll, look for his roll man, and hit him in stride for a pocket pass and a layup. I couldn't believe it. It's like, something that you feel like you should see often, but you haven't seen forever. It kind of startles you when it actually happens. That was nice. Had some great coast to coast plays. He's so fast and athletic in transition. And man, when he sets down defensively, it's so intense. It's fun to watch. I was joking about it on the post-game show, but it's like the guy he was guarding is probably 5'8", 5'9", and Billy's 6'6", but his knees are bent so much. He's down in such a defensive stance that he's shorter than him. And he's got that 7-foot wingspan. That dude wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't going to do anything. Billy was good, man. Love his spark, his energy. His role continues to grow for this team. And it's also led Cal to being a little bit more comfortable not playing DJ 40 minutes a game. He only played 28 minutes in this game, DJ did. Billy played 22. And I wasn't freaking out the whole time that DJ wasn't in the game like I usually am. So that's a good omen for where this thing is headed for Billy. And we'll see if they can take it on the road to College Station. But a good one for Arkansas. Hey, it was a must win. They got it by double digits on a night where other teams around them in the bubble conversation didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So good on Arkansas. They improved 15-9 on the year, get that 4th SEC win. They just keep on trucking with 7 games left. But we get out of here. We'll be back. It's going to be a little bit interesting. We will probably do our Texas A&M preview Friday morning to give it time to marinate a little bit because it's an 11 a.m. game on Saturday. We're still going to have some early morning content on Saturday. We'll probably play some clips that maybe we get from the pregame press conference. We'll do some bracketology, a little bubble talk before we get into the weekend, and then make sure you tap in with us for the watch party because we're going to be live during the Texas A&M game, chatting it up and getting reaction from you guys. So I'm out of here. Been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod the Palace. Y'all have a good day. We'll see you again in the morning.